So Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets is the second film in the series. This was actually the last film that Chris Columbus would be directing. It came out in 2002, and this is actually the last one that I didn't see in theaters before I fell on the hype train. But I gotta say, look, I'm gonna say this about all 8 films, that I love them all, but I think this is another very solid story in the series. And basically how this story goes is now we're in Harry's second year of Hogwarts, and people, cats, and ghosts even start getting petrified by a mysterious monster that lurks in what is called the Chamber of Secrets. And I also like to, just really quickly go in the story, I like to how they flesh out a little bit in the story. There's a scene with Professor McGonagall where they talk about all 4 of the founders of Hogwarts. Helena Ravenclaw, Godric Gryffindor, Helga Hufflepuff, and Salazar Slytherin. And I like how they mentioned about Salazar's hatred for, what he didn't feel were pure bloods, and how he built this this chamber and had a monster in there that would kill all the mudbloods who he didn't fit, were worthy of being wizards or witches. So I thought that was a very interesting aspect of the story, and I gotta say, I felt myself... I always find myself, too, enjoying films that have smart characters and are trying to solve mysteries, and I thought this film did a really good job at excelling at that portion of it as well.
Yeah, nice little Hogwarts history lesson right there. And I also thought in this movie you got to see more of the grounds throughout the school than in the first one, too. Mm-hmm. In the first one, I guess you saw a lot of corridors and stuff, but I just felt like the castle was more open. And we have our main characters back, Harry, Ron, Hermione, and we get some new ones into the mix, too. One of my favorite, best cast characters, I think, in this whole series has to be Lucius Malfoy, Jason Isaacs. He's so good. He's just the perfect guy just to look so evil and angry. But I thought he was really good. We meet Dobby. We have Hagrid back. It's also the last time we see Richard Harris as Dumbledore. I think he's a really good Dumbledore. I think I prefer him just because he's a little more mellow and laid back a little bit, which I feel Dumbledore is in the book. But all the characters in this movie are fleshed out as much as they can be. I know a little bit in this movie the scenes have to rush through a little bit just because there's only so much time for them to cover it. But
yeah, no, you mentioned Jason Isaacs. I just want to add on to a little bit more. One of my first tastes I ever got from Jason Isaacs, seeing him on the big screen, was The Patriot, and he was truly vile and menacing and evil in that film. And and even though I hadn't again started seeing this into this series until 2003, in between parts 2 and 3. I did, when I heard Jason Isaacs was cast as Malfoy's father again, even though I wasn't into the series, I thought that was a great casting choice. Anytime you get Jason Isaacs as a villain, that's a good casting choice. Yeah. So, but I gotta say, he was very much a standout to me as far as new characters go. Also, we gotta mention Kenneth Branagh as Gilderoy Lockhart.
Yeah.
We're not gonna spoil too much about this character, but I will say, I love how Kenneth Branagh approached. Again, he's got source material to work with, but I thought he just really made this character come to life from the books.
Super arrogant and cocky and just so full of himself.
And then just his mannerisms, the way he smiles when he talks about himself, well, I didn't scare the Banshee off by staring and smiling at him. And then the way he talks to all the kids, can you all hear me? I love the way he interacts with the students, and like you said, he's very cocky and arrogant, but also he's really a coward too. So it's just I love the way Kenneth Branagh portrayed him. I really felt he stood out in the film. You also mentioned, unfortunately, this would be Richard Harris's last time, and I gotta say, we'll get into the whole Michael Gambon as Dumbledore when we do our Prisoner of Azkaban review. I will say, as much as I did love Michael Gambon as well, I really, like you said, this is the way I envisioned Dumbledore in the books, or at least the first 2 books that I read, and the little snippets I did read of the other books. I did envision more of Richard Harris's version, that's softer, quiet, calmer, sweeter. Not to say Michael Gambon wasn't nice and sweet too, but it was a different kind of nice and sweet that Richard Harris's character had with him. But
for me, seeing him act, I was just kind of thinking ahead a little bit to how is this guy going to do some of the things Dumbledore has to do later on in the series? Because he obviously looks very old, and he was, but. So in that way, it kind of played into Michael Gambon's favor, especially in the 6th movie.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Anyway, for this, I thought he was great.
Yeah, definitely. And also, really quick, we also, anytime you have Alan Rickman in a film, we got to mention Alan Rickman.
He's not in this one as much, but he still does a really good job when he's in the movie.
Yeah, for sure. The couple scenes we do get, the scene, where he's mentioning about the Whomping Willow. The
duel scene.
Yeah, and the duel scene, too. Some really good scenes with Snape in it. And Alan Rickman, again, he just really embodies this character right out of the book. And just, again, every time I'm watching him, I don't see Alan Rickman. I see Snape, out of the book. So he's incredible, and he just always, any film he's in, he really always stands out. But especially in these films, he's just really, for me personally, he's my favorite. And also, again, Richard Harris, too, in the first two.
Yeah, we definitely saw the growth of Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, and Emma Watson. They're just, this is their second movie, so they're more experienced, and you can tell in the performances a little bit, too.
Yeah, and also, too,
I think that's true for each successive movie. They just keep getting better.
Oh,
and better.
Absolutely. And the more they mature, and they do get better as actors and an actress, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And also, too, I love, as you mentioned earlier, they do flesh out a little more in this film as much as they possibly can. Again, without going too much into spoilers, we learn a couple things about Harry that he's got in common with Voldemort about speaking Parseltongue. I thought a lot of those little aspects, little things like that would later become big deals and more foreshadowings for the future. I thought they were set up very subtly and very nicely into this film without, making it too much of a plot point focus and sticking to the story of Chamber of Secrets. This series, from every role I can really think of, I can't really think of too many roles where I feel there was a miscast. Every role is just
they got pretty much all of them right. Yeah. And some of them they A+. So.
Oh, for sure. So once again, this film is scored by the great John Williams, and I gotta say again, just from the very beginning, just right when you hear that Harry Potter theme, you're just right away, you're locked into this film, and I gotta say, obviously, I'm sure most people noticed this right away the first time they saw these films. I just found myself really noticing, especially watching the second film, how many themes he gives to all sorts of different things. Like, there's a theme for Harry, there's a theme for Ron, there's a theme for Hermione, there's a theme for when they go into the corridor, there's themes for the Quidditch games. He just gives everything, or a lot of things in the film, themes, and they really pay off because they stand out to me when I hear them. Just for instance, what I'm saying right now, I right now in my head know what the corridor theme is, I know what the Quidditch music is, and that's what a good composer does. He makes
really
things stand out.
Writing memorable pieces that just are not necessarily super complex. They're simple, but they just stick in your mind, and you picture something when you hear them.
Definitely.
For a reason. The visual effects in this movie definitely got better from the first one. You see some more just when they're performing magic, or the Quidditch game especially. That scene was a lot better than in the first movie. The basilisk looked pretty good for 2002, right? So I for the most part, I thought everything in the movie looked pretty good. Some good action scenes.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. I will say, too, just to add what you said, in the first film, we weren't, complaining about it, but you did notice some of the CGI was a little bit outdated on...
Especially in the Quidditch scene.
Yeah, Quidditch, and anytime Harry's on a broom.
But in this one, it all looked pretty good.
Yeah, so. For the most part, there are maybe one or two shots here and there, but for the most part, it definitely was improved upon, and I gotta say, too, the action in the Quidditch game in this one, while I did really enjoy the action in the first film that we got, I gotta say, just to point out what you just said, I liked it even more in this film too, and I love too how they infused Draco on Slytherin in this one, and then he was part of the action in this, and just his banter between him and Harry, it kind
of made the stakes higher because it's Harry versus Draco versus Harry versus
Slytherin
else,
or whatever team. Yeah, no, absolutely, and like you just said, that I love those scenes, their interaction, they are so good together, and as we were just talking about how these films were perfectly cast, Tom Felton is another perfect example. He just really embodies Draco Malfoy, and I like how in this movie, not obviously he was very much a bully in the first one, but he amps it up even more and gets even more nastier. He calls Hermione a mudblood several times throughout the film. He even mentions how he wants Hermione to die, so he's a vile little shithead, this guy.
You love to hate him.
Yeah, but you love to hate him.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's phenomenal acting by Tom Felton because, as Jason just pointed out, you love to hate him. So I gotta say, the set pieces in this film are really well done. Anytime they're again in Hogwarts or they're out in the corridor, which got expanded upon more in this film, I really enjoyed seeing that. I don't think in the first movie we got to see. I could be wrong. I don't think we saw Dumbledore's office. I think this is the first.
No, they even showed you a full shot of it, just so you could see it for the first time.
I love seeing going to Dumbledore's office and then seeing Fox in there, of course, the Phoenix. And then also, too, when I gotta say, for me, what stood out the most of all the set pieces, obviously, the Chamber of Secrets,
it was
of course.
Cool.
Yeah, no, I loved seeing it on the screen, and As I imagined when I was reading the book as a child, that's visually what I would imagined it would have looked like, something similar to that. So I thought they really did a good job of really, viscerally making it seem like it was right out of the book. So I thought it was really cool to see the Chamber of Secrets, and also, as you pointed out earlier, seeing the basilisk. I love seeing the basilisk in it and Harry battling it in the chamber, and I thought it was a really cool set design.
So lastly, we just want to talk about the humor in the movie. I'd probably say the lead of the humor is probably Gilderoy Lockhart, just with how arrogant and full of himself he is, and just the little faces and smiles that he makes. But the whole movie overall is funny, especially Ron, being afraid of spiders and them obviously having to go into the forest and dealing with all those spiders. That was a cool scene, by the way, too.
Yeah, definitely.
Hagrid's pretty funny, and the movie overall just it does a pretty good job of balancing in the humor with everything else that's going on. Just keeping you laughing a little bit while just...
Yeah, no, for sure. And when you're in a movie that has stakes that are high like this, you need something to balance out the tension and the suspenseful moments with some humor. So I think you pointed that out perfect. And I also loved, you pointed out everything I loved, but also I like Crabbe and Goyle as well. I thought they were pretty funny,
especially
too.
when they turn into them.
They're more
it's a funny scene.
Yeah, the polyjuice potion. They're more the comic relief, obviously, but still, I still found myself laughing whenever they were on the screen as well. All right, so our favorite quotes of the film. My favorite quote for the movie is by Tom Felton, Draco Malfoy, when they're playing Quidditch, and he says they're going after the golden snitch, and he says to Harry, who's following behind him on the broomstick, he goes, "You never catch me, Potter!" I love that line. Every time.
That's a good one. I think I prefer the one where they're about to duel, and he's like, "Scared, Potter?" And he's like, "You wish."
That's a good one too.
But they're both good, so
yeah,
they're kind of similar though. But anyways, I thought this movie was really good. It's hard for me not to compare the movie to the books. I mean, I know almost every movie is based off a book, but I probably didn't grow up reading all these other books, so I was more reading Harry Potter. But this movie does a really good job of staying really true to the book and making a good movie out of that. A lot of times, if movies trying to stay that close to the book have a hard time making it a good movie, but this one did a really good job of just showing you what you needed to know and then making each scene feel memorable.
Yeah, so final thoughts. I gotta say, this film is another solid entry into the series. It really does a good job of fleshing out our main characters as much as possibly can be. And also, they do a really good job of setting up other things and foreshadowing things that are going to be in the future, such as Harry being a parcel tongue, Tom Riddle's diary, other little things like that. The basilisk being in the chamber after what happens and with the fangs and stuff. So they definitely did a good job of setting up a lot of things for future films while still telling a really good coherent story and letting us get more invested in our main characters. I thought the direction was really good again by Chris Columbus. I thought the music was anytime you got John Williams, it's going to be incredible. But again, spot on by John Williams, just creates very many good themes. A lot of familiar themes from the first movie, but still many good ones as well. I thought the pacing of the film was very well. The scene transitioning was really good. The action was even better in this film, and as well as the visual effects were much more improved. And all the actors, I gotta say, they brought their A games and really improved even more, especially our top three leads. And I gotta say, it was bittersweet to see Richard Harris again on the big screen one last time as Dumbledore. I'm giving Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I gotta agree. This movie definitely improved upon the first one. I prefer the story a little bit more. I think it's a little bit better. A little bit more is going on. But the movie did a pretty good job of staying as true to the book as they could. It's hard for movies to do that sometimes, but this movie did a really good job of that and just keeping everything coherent. And like you said, this book and movie sets up a lot for the future of Harry Potter. So it was cool seeing that in movie form, and everything that I was thinking when I was reading this book kind of was just became it in this movie. So I really like this one a lot too. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Alright guys, well that's going to do it for this video. Let us know what you thought about this movie in the comments section, and if you like these videos, you can hit the subscribe button.
See you guys next time.